All right. Well, yesterday we learned about being strong, and that Judaism depends on being strong. We have to be powerful. You know, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, over and over and over, he told the leaders of Israel, the prime ministers of Israel, they came to visit the Rebbe because the Rebbe had very clear and unwavering directions about what should be done with Israel. Not because the Rebbe supported the state of Israel. Probably the biggest opposer to the whole Zionistic philosophy is Chabad. But the reason we oppose Zionism is because it's bad for the Zionists. It's bad for the Jewish people in general. But on the other hand, they're Jewish people. They're Jewish people. What, by the way, is wrong with Zionism? According to Zionism, nothing is holy. The Jewish people aren't holy. The land of Israel is not holy. The Torah is not holy. The commandments are not holy. Right? There's nothing, no such thing as holiness. Everything is just regular. There's a world. The Jewish people are a people. The state is a state. And that's a very tragic misconception. So the Rebbe says, but nevertheless, these are Jews. These are Jews, right? God wanted to wipe out all the Jews when they worship the golden calf. He said, they're not doing what I want, so you got to wipe them out. Well, I'll start out with a new nation. And Moses said, no way. If you want to wipe out the Jews, wipe me out. So the Rebbe's opinion, that's the opinion of Moses. That's the opinion of Moses. And those people that speak whatever is against Israel, for whatever reason it is, no matter if they speak against Israel, they're speaking against Jewish people, right? And it's true, you could say the Jewish people they're making big mistakes and they're doing sins, but they're Jews. They're Jews. And so if you hold on with the opinion of God, so you can say, well, let's just, Jews deserve, every punishment they can get. But Moses says, no way, doesn't make any difference what they deserve. The Jewish people are chosen by God. A father can say, you do that again, I'm going to kill you. It doesn't give him permission to kill his son. It didn't give him permission. But you have to have a Moses, and that's what we're learning about. So these great leaders, the prime ministers of Israel, so they realize that the Rebbe really loves Jews, and he's got a very positive attitude about Jews, and also a positive plan, not just saying, just drop Zionism and then it's going to. He's got a practical plan what to do. Because, say whatever you want to. In the end, whatever reason it is, Zionism, to a certain degree, it worked here. We've got a country, a beautiful country, and there's progress, and there's electricity, and there's, science, and there's whatever, Jews are living here. We're being protected by God. Okay, whatever reason it is, but still Jews are living here, and the thing worked. And here we've got, millions of Jews that are living here, and millions of Jews. You have to have mercy on them if you hold with Moses. So Moses, the Rebbe has a positive attitude, and what the main thing the Rebbe told all of the leaders, the prime ministers, is be strong. Be strong. Do not be intimidated by the world. Do not be intimidated, especially by the United Nations. The Rebbe said to the Bibi Netanyahu, and he's just starting to repeat the Rebbe's words exactly. Before he repeated it, and just let it sort of watered down, So the United Nations is a place of darkness and lies, and your job is to make a little bit of light over there, and you have to be strong, you have to be strong, you have to be strong. He told Begin you have to be strong, and he wasn't strong. He told Sharon you got to be strong. Sharon didn't even understand what the Rebbe was talking about. He told Shamir, you have to be strong. All of them, they heard what the Rebbe said, they agreed with what the Rebbe said, and they didn't do what the Rebbe said, and it was tragedy afterwards, each one. So now the Rebbe is at least telling us, you have to be strong. You have to be strong. And being strong means you have to be unwaveringly good. You have to be unwaveringly good. We're not talking about conquering, nations and forcing everybody to do and to destroy anybody that's against us. We're not. If necessary, we have to destroy, like what we're doing now. They should have destroyed the Hamas a long time ago. We have to be strong, right? We have to be strong. Just practically speaking, the whole reason that this is happening, this whole big tragedy in Gaza, is we weren't strong. We allowed them to do whatever they wanted to. It was right next door neighbors. They were digging tunnels and they spent billions of dollars on tunnels. And we must have known, where did all the money go? Where did it, and they allowed them to educate their children however they wanted to destroy and to kill us because we have no strength. We've got no identity. In the Jewish schools in Israel, they don't educate what is a Jew. They don't educate what God is. They don't educate that God is. We have to be strong. That's the idea of being strong. So the Rebbe says that there's two ways of being strong. One is that God helps us to be strong. We accept God's blessing. The other way is that we are strong on our own. We are strong. We are strong. And we're going to see that the third way is a synthesis of both of them. These two ways of being strong, this is indicate on how we say chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. We're finishing the book of Numbers this Shabbat, and when we finish any one of the 5 books of the Torah, we say chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Be strong, and we will be strengthened. 3 times. Now, according to Judaism, 3 times is called a chazakah. When you do something 3 times, it's as though you made a vow, it's going to be permanent. Right? If every time you come into the synagogue, you give $5 to the poor one person, and you do it 3 times in a row, right? It's almost like a vow. It's a permanent thing. It's like a sure thing you're going to continue doing it. That's why it says you're supposed to say bli neder. Okay, so there's 2 types of a chazakah, of something that's permanent, strong, firm. One is from the physical world up, and the other one is from godliness coming down to us. Okay, that's what we did. Okay, let's do it. This one we can say explain. The chazakah is when there's something is done 3 times. Sometimes, especially when it is a triple. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. So chazak 1 time means it's triple. 1 time chazak means it's a chazakah, we're strong, triple. It's like a chair. You have a chair with 1 leg. It's not very strong. It'll fall over. 2 legs, 3 legs. It'll stand on its own. A chair with 3 legs. It'll stand on its own. 2 legs can't. 1 leg for sure can't. 3 is showing that so chazak is no already 3, and you have 3 times 3. That's triple. This stresses that we are being strong. Not only on our own are we being strong, but also when there's opposition. Strong. Even when there's opposition, that's when it shows strength. You do it like it's known that number 1 that shows on a person is alone. A person is alone, and all there is good. You can be really strong and firm. 2 shows that there's somebody against you. That shows that there's someone standing against you. 3 shows that you've made a synthesis between them, that chozek v'tokef, of holiness, even in a place where there's opposition. Which that basically is the whole reason God created the world, right? I know we've talked about this a lot of times, but there is this thing in the world, a very, dominant feature in the world, which is called sports. Sports. And in fact, there's almost anything is like that. It's also, let's take also the example, entertainment. You ever heard of these things? Sports and entertainment. All these depend on at least 2. There has to be one side and another side, and then there has to be a third thing that comes from both of them. In the case of sports comes victory. In the case of entertainment comes, right, there's the person, the entertainer, and there's the crowd, and they want to be entertained. And then there comes a new thing called entertainment. Right? The person enjoys the performance, he enjoys, right? A pianist sits and plays alone, wonderful. But if he plays in front of a crowd, he gets more enjoyment. They get more enjoyment. There has to be 3 things. That's why God created the world. Before God created the world, he was alone. Even more, when God created the world and there was man in the world. So man was also basically alone. Therefore, he created a woman called, the woman is called Ezer Kenegdo. It was opposite him. It was supposed to awaken in him new powers of strength to do what's right and to transform the situation what's right. Adam, we see, didn't exactly succeed. But the God creates the world in such a way that the number 3 is somehow magical. There's number 1, then there's an opposition to that 1, and then there's a synthesis becomes between the 2 of them. I said this yesterday. I know the words popped into my mind. There's what's called, what do we call a thesis? an antithesis, and a synthesis. You ever hear that? That's pretty neat. There's one, and then there's an opposition, and then there's a third thing that comes out from it. Same thing as in movies. What's the last time I saw a movie? But movies, movies that's always the person, and then he has some sort of an opposition, right? An opposition, and then finally is the end, the finale. What comes out? He gets he saves the maiden from the dragon or something, whatever it is. So the same thing is okay. The reason that these things all exist is because that's the way God made the world. God made the world. God is alone. He made a world, and he put the Jews into the world, that the Jews should be strong with these three things: God and the world and the Jew. And we should embody these three things to put in the world God. Okay, let's go. Chazaka, that means to be strong. That's the number 3, especially when it's a triple strength. This stresses the strength which is in the opposition that you have to have when there is opposition. Like it's known that the number 1, this indicates on a person there's only good. The number 2, this indicates, where are we? The number 2, this indicates that there's a machloket, there's a disagreement. Why? Because there's somebody not like me. And then number 3, this indicates on a power and strength of holiness, even in a place where there is opposition. When a person is strong and firm, then the firmness of number 3, right? God created the world in such a way that's where God wants us to succeed, but we have to be strong in order to express this. So there are 2 ways. One, you can be strong because you get a gift from above, which is drawn down holiness from above, the kalma in every place, even in a place where there is opposition, because of the greatness of God. Another way is on your own. Allah, going from below to above. This is in a way of chozek v'tokef, to negate what was opposite, to transform it into holiness. This is something like the holidays from the Torah and the holidays from the rabbis. The holidays from the Torah are all gifts from above. God gave us the Torah. God took us out of Egypt, right? God led us through the desert. He protected us. That's the holidays of Passover and Shavuot and Sukkot. And then there's the holidays of Purim and Chanukah, when the Jews were in a terrible situation, and they had enemies. They were enemies outnumbered them, right, 1,000 to 1. And the Jews themselves had Jews that were weak inside of them. They didn't know what to do. And suddenly there stands up in time of Purim, stands up Mordechai, and in time of Chanukah stood up the Maccabees, the Hashmonim. They stood up and they strengthened the Jewish people. We're strong from below to above. We believe in God, even though that God does not believe in us, even though we're in exile, even though that the enemy is overpowering us, but we believe in God. And because of that, it transformed everything to holiness. We got big holidays from that. These 2 ways, either from above to below or from below to above, this hints at chazak of this is especially hinted at in matos maseh. Chazak of Patrish, matot, which that's the staffs. This is strong, which comes from God. Like it says, Moshe spoke to the heads of the tribes. A tribe is a staff that comes from above to below. That's Moses commanded the Jewish people to be strong. There's a strength which comes from above. Strength, even though there's opposition, there's going to be, don't worry, but Moses strengthens the Jewish people. He strengthens. The chazak of Parshas Maseh, that's a matot. Matot means like a staff. Maseh means that you're moving. This is a power which comes from us. We have to make the journeys. The strength which comes from, which is indicated in matot, that strength which is given to us by Moses. Moses, like we said in Purim, came along Mordechai and he gave it to the Jewish people. In Passover, Pesach also, came Moshe and he gave to the Jewish people. But the difference is that in Pesach, we didn't have to fight the battles. In Purim, we had to fight the battles. But nevertheless, we were the inspiration that came from Moses. That's like matot. That's like the staff. And the journeys That's the journeys coming out. That's like maseh, that's like moving. Shemarot Shinuyim, that despite the difficulties and that there are, nevertheless, you have to how the opposition is great, we'll always have to be moving, going in the desert. Now, in the case, this is sort of not exactly like the example that I gave about the Torah and the holidays, but it was saying like this: the Jewish people going through the desert, true, it came from above. Came from above. That's really symbolized in the holiday of Sukkot. The Jewish people travel through the desert, right? But on the other hand, the Jewish people themselves, they had to travel. They had to move. They had to move. It's not like the holiday of Passover or like the holiday of Shavuot, where we were more or less passive. God forced us out of Egypt. The Egyptians, they forced us to leave. God forced us to receive the Torah. Here, the Jewish people had to make the 42 journeys. They had to do it, so to speak, on their own. They had to go through the desert. The Jewish people were very weak. They didn't have any real identity. They couldn't stand any difficulties that came. They wanted to run back to Egypt again, back to the protection of God, so to speak. As soon as there was difficulties, they wanted to go back to Egypt. So therefore, they had to be strong. So but when the Jews were moving, means that they were moving on their own. They had to always constantly be leaving Egypt, leaving Egypt and going closer to Israel. In Egypt, their life was certain. And especially when God decimated Egypt, so they could go back to Egypt, they could be, everyone was afraid of them in Egypt. They were afraid. They wanted to go back to Egypt. But when they were journeying in the desert, it means they were going further away from Egypt. They were going further away from their comfort zone in the physical world and coming closer and closer to strength and power and courage and defiance of God. According to this, so now we can explain why we say chazak chazak mit chazek. We say the sentence. There's somebody here? No. Especially at the end of maseh. Matos maseh is joined together. We say the chazak chazak after maseh. Since the power, when there is an opposition, is stressed more, and the journeys of the desert, the Jewish people traveling through the desert, that's when we really are required strength. So we read Parshat Matot. That's the first portion we read this Shabbat. That's talking about the power we get from above, from Moses. But Masa'eh, that's the second Torah portion we read this Shabbat. That's talking about what we did, how we moved. We moved to the desert. There we really have to have strength. When do we say the sentence, Chazak, Chazak, Venit Chazek? After the second one, after the journeys. Shalozu bilavad, not only that this power of the holiness is drawn down without reckoning with the world. You are strong without reckoning with the world, like it was in Purim, for instance. But even more, that they traveled through the desert. It's not that they jumped over the desert. They went from Egypt, they strengthened themselves, and they took a big jump over the desert. They were strong, and they jumped over the desert, and they came to Israel. That would be enough of a big miracle. But it says, no. Our jumping that we made was the 42 journeys that we made through the desert, and each one of them increased our defiance, our power, our connection to the truth, and our defiance of bad. But we dealt with the bad. We traveled through the desert to negate the desert, the bad of the badness of the desert, the opposition totally, and also to transform it to holiness. The Shlemos Amiti, the whole true idea of strength is when you join both of them together. Oh, this we didn't get to yesterday. Joining them together shows that you utilize both the power from above and both the power you have within together to fix up the world. The chozek, the matot, this power of matot, the staffs, it has the advantage of holiness, which is above limit. But since this power comes from God, is enu shayach lametziut shel tachton. It's not so relevant to the physical world. You don't want anything to do with the world. That's something like, let's say there's people that they sit and learn Torah. Learning Torah is very difficult. And there's people that it's very, very difficult to learn Torah. Very difficult. To sit in one place and to deepen your mind and the ideas and to get, right, understand the Talmud, understand it and realize you didn't exactly understand it. All of a sudden someone asked a question and then you start to realize maybe I misunderstood it totally. You go back and you try to understand it more. You learn different interpretations of what's going on and the different rabbis, what they say, and you understand it. And that's just a little tiny bit of the Talmud. You could spend, there's some yeshivas, some of the Litvish yeshivas, where they spend like 1 year on just one page of the Talmud, just understanding it. Because there's so much in every word of the Talmud. But that's talking about a person, he has power to sit and to learn, but he's not dealing with the world. So it's a holy thing, it's a very good thing. But on the other hand, he's not really dealing with the world. It's a type of a power that comes from above. It's above. The whole thing of Mas'eh is showing bittul, that you negate, or you, even better, you transform the opposition. But because we're dealing with this physical world, the world is limited. The world, in a way, cannot stand against holiness. So therefore, because we're in the world, as the world can change us. It changes. Therefore, there has to be a number 3. The shleimus amiti, the true strength, is when you join together, matot masi, together. What does it mean? That not only are you strong in holiness, and not only can you be strong in the world, that you hold on to your Judaism, the world does not interfere with your Judaism. It doesn't interfere. Like, for instance, there's Hasidic Satmars, Hasidic Bells, and they're businessmen. They're in the world, right? Also, there's literature, and you go into Manhattan, that they're in the diamond industry. They have businesses, and they're in the world. They're in the world, but they're in the world. They hold on. They hold on to who they are, to who their identity is. They're proud of their identity, and they hold on to their identity in this, right, confusing, non-Jewish, anti-Jewish world. They hold on to their identity. That's also strong. So one type of strength is you're strong in learning Torah, and you're strong in this. Another type of strength, you're in the world, you're not afraid of the world, and you hold on to your identity. A third one is that you transform the world, that you have an effect on the world, not just that you're impervious to the world. No, the world becomes pervious to you. The world becomes permeated with God. You're a Jew. I represent the creator of the universe. The creator of the universe is creating you, Mr. Non-Jew. He loves you. Let's do what he says. Chozek v'tokav ha-Moshiach. This is drawn from above limitation into limitation. L'mayla mi'hagbala v'chozek v'tokav b'bittul, transforming the opposition by means of elevating it. Shneiam yachad, doing both. Shebittul ha'menaged, that negates the bad, is in a way that it's permanent. It's permanent. So the first type, let's take it. The first type of strength is you're sitting and learning Torah. That's permanent. You're learning, it's permanent. There's no opposition. You're just sitting and learning Torah, and you've taught yourself you can sleep 3 hours a night, whatever it is, and you eat just a minimum amount, and you don't talk to people and you just learn Torah. That's wonderful. You talk to people as much as necessary, right? But you're separated from the world. The other way is that you're in the world, and you have a business, and you deal with the world, and you hold on to your identity. The problem with the second way is that your identity sometimes becomes a little bit sort of weakened a little bit, because you have to deal with people, and you have to turn your eyes from not looking at things and not seeing things and not this. So you have to sometimes, fight battles that sometimes, take you away from your pristine state of holy Judaism. Other way is that you work and transform the world in such a way that everything you see and everything that is in the world only comes to support what Judaism is. An example of this was Abraham. Abraham went through the world, everyone was against him, and in the end, he became just stronger and stronger and stronger. So this, says the Rebbe, we can also get to this level. Yesh see if we can add on, Shachibur, that the joining together of Matos Maseh is in the fourth reading of Matos Maseh. I'm sure, I think you know. Let's see where we get up to here. Yeah, okay, let's try it. Each Torah portion is divided into 7 sections. Matot is divided into 7 sections, and Maseh is divided into 7 sections. Where is the joining together of Matot and Maseh? Where is it joined together? It's joined together in the fourth reading of Matot. Shekorim B'Revi Siyum Parshas Matot, the end of Parshas Matot, Maseh. Okay, so I'm sorry. Let's say this again. Each Torah portion is divided into 7 portions, right? When the Torah portions are read together, so that whole double portion is divided into 7. As a result, usually we have 2 Torah portions. There's 14 divisions, right? 14. But if they're read together, there's not 14. Those 14 are redivided into just 7. 7. So on which of the 7 portions, that's what we call up 7 people, right? 7 people for each one of the portions. Where is Matot and Maseh joined together? On the fourth one, the fourth person that gets called up, that's where the 2 portions are joined together. All you days by means of this, there's a completion of Chazak. That's the true strength of Matos and Maseh when you finish the fourth reading of the reading. And this, what we're finishing now, is the 4th book of the Torah. So we had 1, 2, 3 was power. We said 3 is power. What's number 4? Even though that the number 3 indicates on power, and it shows on strength, and how do you say, stability, unchanging, unwavering strength, even though there is an opposition. Nevertheless, because it is continuation, it is just a, how do you say, it comes after the number 1 and 2. So you can feel in it the shaykhs, the connection to 1 and 2. Like we say, number 1 and number 2 is not stable. 1 means you're alone. 2 means there's an opposition. That's not a stable situation, neither one of them. 1 means you're ignoring the world. Number 2, you're not ignoring the world, but on the other hand, you left your stability. Number 3 means that there's stability and power and harmony, but it still comes after 1 and 2. Even though that it joins these 2 together with the other 2, the upper, the tachton, the lower, and the upper, nevertheless, you can still feel that you're joining these 2 opposites. The upper world and the lower world, you're joining together. Therefore, what's the ideal of Judaism? Not that you should be a spiritual person, not just that you should hold on to your Judaism even when you're in the physical world, and not even that there should be a harmony between all of them, but there should be a true unity, that it's not even considered to be harmony. It's considered to be health. The true completion of power is the number 4. The number 4 that unites, it unites everything on its own. It's not you join 2 things together and that you've made harmony. Maybe I can give you an example. Let me just finish the sentence. It's shown, number 4 shows the ideal of what Judaism is. Complete, they say peace, harmony. And just like a chair that has 4 legs on it, this is in a way of stability even more than a chair that has 3 legs. That shows chozek and tokef in a way that's permanent. It's permanent. Okay, let me give an example. This is just an example I made up. Let's say, God forbid, a person breaks his leg, right? He breaks his leg. So he has some traumatic situation that happens to him, right? He loses all of his money. So we have, let's say, 2 situations. One is a person has all of his money, or he has his leg. That's good. Number 2, he loses his money, or he breaks his leg. but God forbid. And so that means that there's an opposition. There's an opposite. Then there's number three. He gets his money back and he heals his leg. That's number three, right? But both of those situations, you've got harmony now. You got your money back. Your leg is healed, but there's still you remember, wow, I had a close call. I lost all my money, came back. I remember how bad I felt when I didn't feel. I remember how bad I felt when my leg was broken, but it's not broken now. Until people will even come up to you and say, how are you doing? How's your leg? So, oh, thank God it got healed. How's the situation with money? Thank God I went out of it. I had debts I got out of. Thank God. But there still is always a remembrance, a trace of the bad. That's number three. Number three shows on harmony. It shows on synthesis, but there still is a little bit of a remembrance of the trauma that was before. The number four shows that there's no trauma whatsoever. The things are better than they were before and in a natural way. In a natural way. It's almost as though you thank God that I broke my leg. I thank God that I lost all my money. I came to a higher level. It was a good thing, right? It was a good thing. You don't remember all the pain or the whatever. It just transforms to good. That's called complete wholesomeness. So it's like a chair that has four legs. We can say that this is also stressed in the number of the connection of number 4 to number 5. And on Shabbat Parshas Matot Maseh, which that's the end of the 4th book of the Torah, we're beginning to read the 5th book of the Torah. This is even an additional stability that ends the 4th book of the Torah. Number 4 shows a harmony, an advantage which is achieved by means of the previous 3, by means of going through the world and making harmony in the world. And this is even a higher level. This 5th book of the Torah, we begin in the month of Menachem Av. Not like in many years when Mat is written in Shabbat Mevorchin, Menachem Av at the end of Moshe Tammuz. This, what the Rebbe is, the year the Rebbe is speaking, it was already in the month of Av. It was already a month. It was the first day of the month of Av, whatever. The first day of the month of Av. Right. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. So the year the Rebbe is speaking, I'm sorry, I just got confused. It was almost exactly the same as by us. When they blessed, right, the Rebbe, the blessing of the month of was on the previous week, right? The blessing, that's same by the Rebbe, that's how it was, and by us, that's how it was. When the Rebbe was reading Matot Maseh, it was already the beginning of the month of Av. Same thing by us. Next Shabbat is going to be the first day of Av. So it says that therefore, when we read Parshat Matos Maseh, we are going to be entering the 5th month of the year. And we're reading the 5th book of the Torah. We're going to start the 5th book of the Torah. That's going to be if you do it like it's known, that the number 5 is even higher than all limitation. All limitation. That it's something like in the future there's going to be the Moshiach, and then there's going to be the raising of the dead. Moshiach is going to be the reward, will be happy for all of the things, like the person who got his leg broken and he's happy, he comes to a higher level afterwards. He doesn't remember the bad. That's number 4. Number 5 is the raising of the dead. This is something totally above any limitation. This is above the whole entire creation. It's pure godliness. It says like the 5th level is to paro. Paro means completely revealed. Priya. Ubakoach zen, this power joins the 2 opposites of drawing down and elevating up that we had before. In joining together 1 and 2 and 3. 1 is ourselves alone. 2 is the opposition. 3 is the harmony between them. The opposition is the world. Harmony between the world and us and God. The number 4 is an advantage, an elevation, even higher than the number 3. A new type of harmony. That's like Moshiach. And that's number 4. And number 5 is something like the raising of the dead. That's totally above any limitations whatsoever. And that's all hinted at that it's really going to happen, because on this Shabbos is really happening. We're entering the 5th month of the year. We're reading the 5th book of the Torah. By joining all of this is even higher than 3, 4, and 5 in the ultimate completeness. So the Rebbe is trying to say that is what we are moving toward. That's our goal. We have to understand what our goal is. That's what our goal is. And we can't have anything less than perfection for our goal. And this is what perfection is. That's what it means. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. We have to be strong. We have to transform the world. But let's say more exactly, we have to reveal in the world why the world is being created. And we'll talk about this more, God willing, next week. Tomorrow.